once you have a volunteer, you got to keep them busy. Okay, you don't want them wandering too far or thinking that nothing's going on. Be ready to set up committees, if nothing else, or discuss plans at least, even if you don't go to the trouble of doing a full-blown committee, for things like registration drives, whenever the next state fair is, canvassing neighborhoods, phone banks for volunteers and donations. And again, right now, ask for both, donations and volunteers. Don't just pick one or the other. We're down here. We got to work on this. So you can put them to work immediately, especially with the phone banks. Okay, canvassing neighborhoods, maybe wait till March before you start doing your first attempts. Get used to it now, though. Get into practice. Okay, but if you start forming committees and you start doing phone banking activities, and you know, it sounds really official when you do it that way, but if you just got a phone list to start out with, and we can give you a phone list to get started with, you know, putting people immediately to work, calling potential volunteers, calling potential donors, put them right at work planning these future activities. You have to be prepared to just, you know, set this whole, you know, we're just going to walk in and we're going to talk for a while. Set an agenda. Plan for these future activities. Look through these manuals and see what you want to do in the next 4 months. And plan to create committees at the very least. If not, you know, start to hand out phone lists and things. Okay? You get people involved some way, somehow. You know, I'm happy to do phone banks right off the bat. I'll find you phone numbers. I'll help you figure out where to find more phone numbers. You know, just put them to work right away. What else can you do? You, as an organizer, are, as I said before, running a campaign. Every bit as much as a candidate. The only difference between a county organizer and a candidate is for a county organizer, the campaign never ends. It's endless and over and over. Cycle, year in, year out. You never stop. You want to do a lot of the same things. We talk about, you know, being legit, dressing like it, acting like it, putting yourself out there. You need to come outside into the sunlight, mix with the other groups. It's okay to play with Democrats and Republicans, you know, as long as you don't get too dirty while you're out there. It's okay. You got to go outside. You got to mingle. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to try to convert a few people along the way. I mean, let's face it, proselytizing in religion is an oft discussed and debated subject, but in politics, it's the law of the land, please. There's nothing wrong with it. How many of you folks have ever attended a house party, a political house party?
Put some on.
Ever heard of one? Yeah? Tupperware party for political people. You gotta like it. One of the nice things about the house party idea is it's fairly non-threatening. You can position it like a Tupperware party. Okay? Just gathering your friends. You can invite people from work, from your church groups, and other organizations. And you want to have a speaker, and you want to have this great little thing. This I will bring up. I don't know how many of you will recognize this. Who knows this? Who's heard of this? So you really need to have this on hand.
I saw some letters in your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll spell it.
I'm now.
The world's smallest political quiz?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
It's all.
it's a great tool.
It is.
You get all sorts of people that are sitting there looking at the results going, really? And it's a great start. It's a great icebreaker.
We do it every year at the state fair and the
I've heard
DC
that.
Classic.
I didn't have a chance to go to the state fair.
It's a great icebreaker, and people, sometimes they're very surprised at, huh? I'm what?
Yeah, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, if we can get the Mecklenburg Libertarian Party reconstituted and moving forward, you know, one of the things I'd like to see us do is, you know, random weekends. Just take this out uptown on like 4th or one of the parks and just hang out there all day. You know, we can get some volunteers to do it. Just hang out and just catch them at lunch. Catch them during the lunch rush. Or some of the festivals, of course, you know, we have things like Speed Week and such uptown in Charlotte. Any weekend there's a football game, big crowd wandering by. You know, these are things I'd like to do. It's not going to help you right now, but I also have a protest campaign that I'm developing for later in the year. That doesn't really impact you now or your organizing efforts now, but there will be plenty of things to do. There are plenty of things to do. Who's got a copy of the campaign manager? Oh yeah, that's a good reminder. They have a sign-up sheet. You know why they have a sign-up sheet? Because it's a list. The list is gold. Do I really need to have everybody fill out that sign-in sheet? Not really. But I'll take all the information I can get, and you can be sure I'll be setting that information aside. And that was a good idea. God, I wish I had thought of that at the GOO meeting, going back to sign in again and just taking a little snapshot of this. Why didn't I think of that? Usually such a sneaky one. I think, really, at the end of the day, what we want to do is I want everybody to think about being creative about how to find new volunteers and resources, okay? We need to think about stepping up our meetings and, again, focusing them on activities, not just getting together to touch base, but actually putting, again, even if you're putting it together a committee to plan future activities, a movement towards action, and work with the candidates. I mean, one of the things that's important to me about reorganizing Mecklenburg, and we're going to have to start from scratch, do a mailer, do an initial meeting all over again, is we have 3 congressional districts running through Mecklenburg, and especially 8, 9, and 12. And especially with everybody starting down here in terms of funds and resources, it's really incumbent upon us to work together, to share resources, to do things in conjunction. So I really think we need to work on our organization. For instance, in the case of Lon, you know, he's going to need that boots on the ground support. Him creating his campaign from scratch and building volunteers from scratch may not get there if we're doing the same thing with the county organizations. We may, and we can do that for multiple candidates. Mike Beitler, running for Senate, statewide office. The only way to be really effective is if we build these local organizations, because Mike by himself, his campaign, can't mobilize 5,000 volunteers. But if we got 50 counties and they, you know, we'll find 100 volunteers, there's 5,000 volunteers. We need the county parties to be working on this just as much as the candidates. And we need to pull them together.